Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today for the webinar session. As you all know, the topic of today's session is challenges and opportunities during and after COVID-19, with a special reference to manufacturing and MSMEs. And we have with us today Mr. Shailendra Goswami. He's an alumnus of our PGP 1977 batch, and he's the chairman and managing director of Pushkaraj Engineering Enterprises, and he's an alumnus. He's also an alumnus of COAP 1974 batch and IIMB Bangalore 1977 batch, and has worked in corporate sector for 15 years. That's 78 to 92, 1978 to 92, and started his own ventures in the year 1992. Almost he's in 27 years in business. And Sir has been instrumental in helping MSMEs in setting up joint ventures in India by collaborating with overseas technology companies, and he has been helping MSMEs on business strategies, creating profitable business models, finding partners for technology upgradation, and installing productivity improvement measures. And he has been invited as a speaker or a panelist at Horace's Global India Meet in Malaga, Spain, to speak on Make in India, and also in Sevilla, Spain, on innovation. He has been helping the Indian industry in creating export opportunities for products and services through his network in 16 countries. And he's also a member of he had been a member of executive committees of MCIA and Indo-Japanese Business Council and state auto component committees as its chairman. So overall, Sir had a 42 years of experience in the industry and corporate world, contributing in building business strategies, creating values, and future preparedness for the industry, academia, and society at large. Thank you, Sir, joining us today and to present a webinar for all of us. Once again, thanks all for joining. And today's format will be that at the end, Sir will be taking the questions. If you have anything, you can type in a chat window. Yeah, over to you, Sir.
Okay, I'll start with the slide share. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shailendra Goswami, as said by Sushma. I'm the alumnus of IIMB Bangalore way back in 1977, and almost 43 years in profession, 15 years, and plus 28 years in business, 15 years in corporate sector. And we did our postgraduate program in St. Joseph's High School on Double Road. We were not part of our new campus, which is there presently. So it was more of a homely environment and a cozy environment, and a very, very small batch, roughly around 56 plus boys and girls. And today also we are a very close-knit alumni batch. Very recently we had our 43rd reunion in Lonavala. And we had almost, I think, with spouses, roughly around 35, 36 people assembling there, and then we had good time. Our 40th year reunion was celebrated in Bangalore. At that time, we had visited campus, and we had a fantastic time there as well in Bangalore. So as we are progressing, I think the reunions are, the period between two reunions are getting reduced. You can imagine the reasons for that, naturally. But then meeting people is certainly a very, very pleasant and good experience. And that is where when I got this opportunity for the Alumni Association webinar series, so I was the first one to pick it up because I like going back to alma mater. I have conducted several programs, induction programs for our freshers. And therefore, I feel like going back to our alumni association and the alma mater. I have handled Pune chapter as the president of Pune chapter for quite a while. In fact, the chapter was established by me initially, and then I continued till that time. And now I'm the immediate past president, therefore a member of the executive board. With that brief takeaway, I think let me start on this particular topic, which is more relevant for the day: challenges and opportunities during and after COVID-19. Normally, people have been talking about COVID and mostly all the pessimism, the negativity which is built around that. So I have added two words in that. One is the opportunities. It's not only challenges. So whenever there are challenges, there are opportunities. And therefore, when we are talking about during COVID-19, I have also included after COVID-19 what exactly. Of course, it's going to be $1 million question. When is going to be that after? So let me begin my presentation. I have done a slide presentation just to manage the time, but I think we will quickly run through this PowerPoint, which would be available to you through the association. I have shared the document there, so no need to take down anything other than listening to me. So challenges COVID-19 related. First and foremost, controlling this pandemic. Of course, last 7 months, to be precise, 20th of March was the first day when we heard about something like this is going to happen. 24th of March was the lockdown which was announced, and then from 24th of March till now, I think we have clocked almost 7 months. And even today, with all those relaxations in place, we do not know where exactly we are going to head, whether it will last for maybe this year. Everyone is saying that 2020 is gone, but then some people are saying 2021 also could be part of that. So first and foremost, controlling this particular pandemic and coming out with some solutions thereafter. And like I said, by when is $1 million question? And this will get derived out of by when a vaccine will be introduced and the modalities of distribution of the same. Why I'm saying modalities of distribution? Because that becomes one of the biggest topics here. The vaccine, as all of us know, that the front runner is Oxford, and with Oxford we have a company in Pune, only the city where I live, have collaborated. And what I hear from the company is that any day in the month of December or first week of January, they will start implementing the vaccination program on the general public as such. Now, when we are talking about vaccination, we have a population which is quite large, and that is where we will have to give out the priorities as far as that list is concerned, that who should be getting it first. So the paramedics, the medical practitioners, or the frontline members who are fighting this COVID war naturally would be standing in first priority, and then thereafter the senior citizens and so on and so forth. So there have been many discussions which could be socio-political nature, plus medically unfit candidates might get priority. So it's going to be a very, very complex model for distribution of this vaccine and the vaccination program. So this will naturally, governments are quite capable of handling this kind of a situation. They have already imagined it, and so those will come into force as soon as the vaccine is introduced, and which we are hoping that the first week or second week of January 2021 will see the vaccination programs taking off. Now, there is an element of statistics which is coming in as far as COVID is being talked. Every time people talk about mortality rates, the active cases, the recovery rate, and what on. The statistics in some parts of India is naturally favorable these days. Some of the states are doing exceedingly well. Talking about Pune city, we have reached a mortality rate of 1.5, a recovery rate in excess of around 80 to 85%, and the active cases per day on the Pune metropolitan region, which is including the rural belt, is not exceeding 350. And if we talk of Pune city alone, it is coming down to 140 or 150. So from 3,240, it has been almost 7 months of travel and a lot amount of learning and lot amount of disciplined behavior, which the citizens of Pune city have shown there, because of which the trends have come down. And today, practically everything is unlocked as far as Pune is concerned. Although there are people who are having reservations about really taking advantage of that unlocking, but then, there are people who have been saying that those three things are very important: social distancing, mask, and the sanitizing. And I think this needs to be followed for quite a while. I think this should become a part of our lifestyles, and therefore there is a possibility we are expecting in the winter of a surge again. But then we don't have those kind of winters like we have it in Europe or in America in the snow side cities or the states there. But then today, if we take European conditions, already there are 3 or 4 countries which are under severe second wave or third wave, and they have already started declaring lockdowns there. And situations are very, very bad. At least I don't see them, though these kind of conditions in India. And our winters, we all know, are not that very severe. So although the warnings have been issued that there could be a surge, expected surge in the second surge in the winter, but then let us play it safe with those 3 things. If protocols are followed, I think we should be in for a game which we want to play. Now, while all these 7 months we have gone through that learning curve, followed all the protocols, and then started getting recovered, but then there are a whole lot of things which have happened which are quite disturbing. One is the fear in the minds of people that while people are talking, as soon as you step out of the door, the death is standing there. So some kind of fear like that. Mental health has taken a toll, and so are the emotional aspects. Now, these are the challenges which most of the medical practitioners have been facing. That number of psychiatrists being consulted these days are far in excess of what those were being consulted earlier. So if I really have to go to the next issue of manufacturing, I need to first of all understand what exactly is this COVID related challenges also. And naturally there are not going to be many opportunities out of this, of course. The opportunities, if I look at it on the brighter side, yes, we have learned how to live with the nature. We have learned how not to tax the nature, how not to really exploit things, or how not to do so many things. I think the peace we have got, the good environment we have got, but I won't call them as an opportunities as such. But then these are the learnings that we have taken place. Now the challenges in manufacturing, the first and foremost challenge which really encompasses several other things is the restoring of operations. Yeah, you can very well imagine that we have had series of lockdowns and then partial lockdowns, then unlock 1, unlock 2, unlock 3, where relaxations were made in stages. Initially, we had no work allowed for the factories, then thereafter 10%, thereafter 30% workforce allowed, thereafter social distancing and whatnot. So we even today have not resumed as yet to full capacity, and social distancing norms to be followed is another criterion because of which, if suppose I have a capacity of 100 people, I cannot accommodate 100 people at the same time. So I may have to either create a layout for social distancing. Physically, if it is not possible, I will have to change the work timing, or I will have to take work from home as a solution for that, or the next option is that I may have to outsource. So related to workforce, there are going to be many challenges which are being faced even now, and not fully we are operational. One of the worst challenges we have had is the liquidity, the beating that everyone has taken on finances. It was initially a very big problem because everything had come to standstill. But then the government came out to help, especially the MSMEs, and announcing the packages. The packages were huge. And with that, most of the MSMEs, I also hold one of the manufacturing units, so I know for sure that these packages did help us in extending our EMIs, what moratorium they had given for 6 months, and of course there was an issue of interest on interest that also is being heard by the Supreme Court. I think 2nd of November we should be getting that decision. Finally, but then I think that if we go by the logic or the way government has played around, we will not be forced to pay that interest on interest part of it. So generally, the policies from the government have been totally friendly as far as manufacturing are concerned, MSMEs are concerned, or the industry are concerned. And therefore, although the financial packages have been announced, managing the finances has become problem for the micro and small scale manufacturers, because individual finances were as it is bad pre-COVID, after COVID situations have become further worse. So I will tell you the reason as we go along, because the next point really adds up to that the financial woes of most of the MSMEs. The demand management, low demands, of course. This is the present condition, but then initially for 5 or 6 months there was virtually no demand. So in spite of unlocks or in spite of resuming the workforce or the operations and things like that, all the social distancing, all the demands were not there. Even the demands are not catching up, although there are festival offers which have come about and the numbers are going up. And then people expect that they should be able to accumulate 50 to 60% of their lost out demands in the coming year. And by March or so, most of the people are going to pitch in somewhere in between 60 to 70% of their targeted revenue models. And the customers even today are quite reluctant, as I have written it there, not investing or buying because it's a wait and watch policy. Nobody wants to do investments or buying because one does not know how long this pandemic or COVID is going to last. The biggest hit which has been taken by is the supply chain. Supply chain are the tier 1s or tier 2s, which are mostly MSMEs, and the complete supply chain has been disturbed mostly because of MSMEs, and they are still struggling to survive. So if your supply chain having 10 links in a chain, if one of the links really packs up, the entire chain becomes useless, and that is where the supply chain management is becoming one of the biggest challenges for the industry. Now the last one is the sanitized workplace, where I have said that masks, social distancing, and of course sanitization becomes an extra cost. Efficiencies become low, and no guarantee even after doing that, because there are a whole lot of people who have been asymptomatic, having COVID negative, but then after doing certain tests, they have turned out to be positive. So people wearing masks, doing all kinds of protocol on sanitization as well as social distancing, although they have been doing that, they still are getting COVID positive. Of course, these are exceptions. So the rule is that as long as you follow those 3 norms, I think you should be safe enough to handle the situation on COVID. The challenges in that, I would add up some vulnerabilities which were existent even before COVID, and of course with COVID they have further aggravated. We had very much over dependence on certain sectors like automotive or government sectors, and this has resulted in a catastrophic failure on the industrial front because as it is, we have seen it that the automotive sector virtually packed up. And the government sector, of course, the investments are not coming forward and the infrastructure is slowed down. So naturally, the ecosystem has collapsed. Therefore, that dependence has to be reduced if at all we have to be really getting into the game. So over dependence on automotive and government sector becomes one of the challenges. Then migration to industry 4.0. Of course, most of the people in manufacturing, they do understand the generations of manufacturing. Initially, we had 1.0 where we had a mechanical lathe machines and power looms and things like that. For generation 2, we had PLC-based control systems which had a partial automation. The generation 3 had a complete automation, and now generation 4 is a cyber physical, which means the machines will talk to machines with the help of artificial intelligence, IoT, the new concepts of information technology. And the migration to industry 4.0 would have definitely helped us today if we had done this pre-COVID, because this requires less manpower. So with the reduction in manpower, we could have attained the kind of productivity which was desired. Of course, in spite of attaining productivity, again, we have a catch on the demand part of it. So today, all these factors are coming one after the other. And then if we do not take care of all of them together, we will be stuck in a chain. Low contribution from in the global manufacturing value chain, as we have been saying it, is that we are not playing a global game. We have been playing only a domestic game. Therefore, whatever happens within the country, whether good or bad, it gets directly reflected into the manufacturing setup or the operations of the company. So we have to have a global manufacturing value chain. Low share in design and IP building capacity. India is not a country where we really run after all the IP or the patents and things like that. Of late, of course, many companies have been really adventuring into these aspects, But then there are more than 80 to 90 multinational companies have set up their design offices in India because of the talent that we have it. But indigenously speaking, we should be running for our own design companies who would be strictly doing engineering services, in which we do design, prototyping, development and testing ourselves, rapid prototype or otherwise commercial production. So we have a very low share in design and R&D building. This could be one of those challenges. Now, having understood this thing, what should be the focus areas which have been, you can say, on the negative side, the scalability part of it. I just touched that aspect of Industry 4.0, which could have given us the scalability or the productivity. Today, we are not global players, so our scalability parameters are entirely at a very, very low level. And if at all we need to be global players, then we need to have that scalability aspect, for which we need to work out on the third element, which I have given second and third, which is modular manufacturing, which is mostly action, because a single line should be able to accommodate multi products with slight changing or slight change in setup times and things like that, or process innovation, which is not there on and off. We need to really look at our processes to reduce cost, to improve productivity, and to see to it that the line functions very, very effectively. We have been perennially having this problem of logistics efficiency and excellence. We all know it, so I think I don't need to double on that. Because of poor infrastructure initially, we had this problem, but now with the expressways, the ports getting modernized, the airports getting modernized, the logistics should take off. And in the post-COVID era, I think this should not really be a problem which will be posed at us. Now, joint service and representation in strategic overseas location is another area where we are mostly absent. You know, if at all we need to be global players, we need to be present locally there. And if I need to do business in America, I need to be present in America. If I need to do business in Europe, I need to be there in the countries those require our products. So the priority was never given to this area. So I have taken that as a focus area which everyone should look at. And the last one, which is very, very important, that we are an inward-looking society. We should have been more outward-looking, which never ever we looked at. Whatever we get from India is satisfied, so people are happy about it. Now, we need to really increase our percentages of export and percentages of global business shares. Now, having talked about all these negative aspects, what are those opportunities which are opened up? I think one of the biggest opportunities which has opened up pre-COVID as well as during the COVID is the China factor. US and China had trade wars, so therefore people had already started preparing in US to relocate businesses from China or sourcing of products from China. And now after COVID, now that the blame entirely goes to Chinese people for really creating this virus, I think most of the people have almost decided whether it is Korea, Japan, Europe or America, which are our white markets. They have more or less chosen to relocate themselves if at all they were present in China. But then the task is not that easy. You need to take care of a whole lot of vulnerabilities. If at all somebody has to come to India, we have to have that focus areas very, very clearly defined and implement, and we remove the vulnerabilities and take care of the manufacturing in that problem. We have competition naturally from Vietnam, Thailand, European and South American countries. Why I am saying that European is the erstwhile East European countries like Poland or Czechoslovakia or Turkey or countries like that, or Hungary. You know, these are the countries which have logistically or supply chain wise very close to Europe. They could be cost effective also if they really decide to, and that is where most of the European companies may think of locating themselves to these countries, or in American they could be looking at South American companies, countries like Mexico or Brazil or other places like that, and this could become more logical. But then, considering the strength India has, considering the way India operates on engineering or on manufacturing, I think we should be very, very hopeful, and most of the MSMEs should be very, very hopeful that these directions will flow towards India. because we have a very high level of democracy prevailing. We have a very good government which follows all the laws and orders, and the IPRs are in place. And there are so many other advantages that we have very good talent, we have very good engineers, we have very good practices here, ethical values, characters, you name the thing. So most of the people, I have been dealing in international trade for last 28 years, and people they really say all these things to me. They are not coming out of any feeling of my own, but then people have been talking to us, and the most of the demands have started flowing our way. We have already started executing those orders for American and European customers. We are very good at high-tech, low-volume products, and need to focus and improve on low-tech, high-volume game. Now, this is very, very important and very, very catchy words, you can say. Anything which is involving very high technology and of course low volume, because we are not geared up for scalability. We are very good. Nobody can compete there. But then on a low tech, high volume business, we really go back, we take a back seat. And this is the area of focus that we should be having. We do have strength in design and development unlike others, but then we need to explore them further and use them to get additional businesses. Not going to be very easy to match Chinese cost, volume, manufacturing and delivery. Everyone knows that. But then fait accompli, our back is against the wall. So if the Indians decide to do something, we do it. We have several such examples that we produce the cheapest car. Our satellite went to Mars, and our own alumni, Dr. Radhakrishnan, was the chairman of ISRO at that time. And the most cost-effective way we sent it to Mars. So if we decide to do something, we do it. Quality can be certainly managed. Dependency on Chinese presently is very high on raw material parts and machinery and equipment. And today's, if we say the trade balance, it is negative in favor of India. And our government is becoming really, really proactive in looking at it, that we balance at least the trade. Whatever we export need to be imported in the same value. And a couple of government decisions have taken place in that direction. I think most of us are aware of that. Government, the last one is very, very important. The government proactively is supporting on getting these industries relocating themselves in India by apportioning land, by giving quick clearances, by relaxation on the FDIs, and then ease of doing business concepts, etc., etc. Our own Prime Minister is sitting at the helm of all such issues, and then he's handling it personally and then giving directions to the strategic committee which has been set up with the cabinet ministers. Cost-effective sourcing of components is another opportunity which is opened out, but it has need to compete on the prices by other cost-effective countries. Like I told you, the South American, the East European erstwhile countries, the Chinese. Of course, we cannot reduce our reliance on Chinese to 100%. It will take time, but then we need to work that out and need to adhere to the volume requirements and deliveries. We have to really become very, very, you can say, promising as far as this area is concerned. Whatever deliveries we promise, we should be able to deliver it. Need to comply with quality requirements and the norms. And then the last one, which is the product liability, is very, very strong as far as US and Europe is concerned. That if we define a particular product as per the drawings, and if we do not supply that, the product liability clauses are very, very stringent there, and we need to be aware that cost-effective sourcing of components, although can be treated as an opportunity, it has got several tags attached to that, and then we must look at it. There are other opportunities which are opened to the MSMEs also, and these are the areas which could be treated as diversification. Opportunities created in the areas of healthcare like pharma, medical, electronics, medical equipment, and so on and so forth, like apparel manufacturers. Our own president, Harish Mittal, has been making masks. Then Mahindra have started making ventilators. Ashok Leyland, they made ventilators. There are several such companies who are doing diversification plans wherever they have this engineering or the capability for making these healthcare equipments. They have been making it because the need of the day is that the capacities have got to be built up in healthcare, and that is where people are saying that the trend is we are very strong in pharma, and we are very strong in vaccine programs. We are very strong on drugs production and things like that, India could become one of the biggest exporters of healthcare products in the times to come, up to say maybe 2025. Another avenue which has opened up in opportunities is e-commerce. Everyone is aware of that. E-commerce, e-learning. One of our alumni is really heading an organization, Santosh Ranjan, who's the managing director of an e-learning company. Is doing exceedingly a good job because schools are going online, colleges are going online. Everything on webinars, what we are discussing, all these things are going to open up really a large amount of markets on e-commerce. Imagination is the name of the game. The way you imagine, things will progress accordingly. Food processing is another area which has opened up, and we have, I think, mostly in lockdown condition, eaten all these processed food which we were not aware of, and therefore I think online buying of groceries and food is going to be the trend of the day, and it will continue for forever, because it has proven that it is quite easy and safe to have processed food online buying and things like that. And naturally, research laboratories creating vaccines or doing researches on such viruses and pandemics is another opportunity which is opened up. In summary, I think I need to wind it up. We need to be very, very optimistic. We have no choice but to be optimistic. We need to see the light of the day at, beyond COVID. And therefore, I am a very staunch optimist, and I know for sure that the way things are going, we will come out of it. The way Pune city has come out, every city in India definitely will come out of it. We need to learn to live with COVID. This is the aspect which has come about, because I remember in month of May or June, I was having debates on several webinars where lives and livelihood was the phrase which was being tossed, which should be given importance, whether lives should be at the cost of livelihood or whether livelihood should be at the cost of lives. At that time, the conclusion which came about that we have to coexist. The lives have to coexist with the livelihood, or we need to live along with COVID and follow those norms, the protocols, and then we will prosper. Because one cannot say that on 31st of December this COVID will disappear. Like the year end or having a new year, things are not going to change just like that. So we will bounce back, although the GDP for this year, the first quarter was disaster, minus 29.3. But then, of course, we should be able to recover. And yesterday's finance minister statement was that we should be able to come slightly above minus, and maybe we will be in the positive zone, not too much above, very much on the positive side. But next year certainly is going to be a very good year for all of us. Everyone is forecasting in that. The emerging market scenario post-COVID will demand a new approach and strategies from all. Like I have been saying that it has pressed two buttons, pause. Initially for 4 months we had a pause, and another button which we have pressed is reset. So everything has got to be reset. Our lifestyles, our strategy making, our vision statements, our way of working, our consumption pattern or our investment pattern, everything that relates to survival has to change or has to be reset. The company who heads the way, who leads the way with market-oriented products will win in a longer term. Of course, this should be true, isn't it? For any condition, whoever really targets the markets and produces the products should always win. But in COVID times, it is more than adequately realized, and that is why I had to put that particular statement there. And lastly, in the words of the chairman of FICCI, when the winds of change are blowing, some people build walls and others install windmills. So this is the challenge and opportunities for you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I think with that, I'll close my session. I'm open to questions. Thank you. Sushma.
Yeah, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, I don't see any question as of now. We'll just wait for you. Yeah.
You can ask them to unmute because there are hardly 34 participants.
Yeah, I'll. Yeah.
Whoever wants to ask question, let him unmute and ask.
Yeah, I can unmute. Actually, sir, the presenter right is here. So I can unmute if people wants to ask. You can just let me know in the chat window. Participants can type in chat window if you want to ask questions. I can unmute. So you said S. Mohan is your batchmate, right? I can unmute him if he wants to share something.
Yeah. Of course, he is a veteran in manufacturing.
Sir, I've just unmuted Mohan, sir. Are you there, sir?
No, I don't think you have unmuted him.
Yeah, I've just unmuted. He's trying to talk, I think. Hello?
Seems to be a problem.
Audio, or he's talking.
Yeah, I think.
But audio is not audible. I can see his speaker is missing.
Mohan, your voice is not audible.
So just 1 second. I'll just
maybe
do my.
Harish is there. Take some comments from Harish.
Yes, 1 second.
Till the time you fix up Mohan.
Hi, Shailendra. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So we can hear you, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Wonderful to hear you speak, Shailendra, with so much experience. And hats off on a wonderful journey you have had as an entrepreneur, as a professional and an entrepreneur, and flying the Indian flag high, especially the Indian manufacturing flag, which often not seen in the international world, especially in the high tech. Or like you say, maybe the time is to go to low tech and high volume.
Correct.
Thank you so much for a wonderful talk.
Thank you, Harish. Thank you.
So we got one question, sir. Now I'm just reading it out. From Vinay, he has asked, like, what could be 2 to 3 steps that we need to take to improve the manufacturing capabilities in India to challenge China capabilities?
As I said in my presentation on the cost-effective sourcing, Chinese beat us on price hollow. Chinese beat us on volumes very hollow, and Chinese also beat us on deliveries. Now, if you are asking 3, these are the 3, and the 4th one, of course, quality we can manage. But these 3 things managing is becoming a very big problem. Presently, the last 3 months, I have been really doing a couple of components for gas industry as a replacement to Chinese. I will give you an example that the Chinese price was 120, whereas the indigenous price was coming around 160 or 170. So bridging that particular gap is becoming a big problem. But then certainly we will manage, because the products coming from China, the kind of quality they give, the kind of material they give, we need to compare apple to apple. So the 3 most important things are the volumes. We should be able to give volumes, because when somebody is asking, I have seen factories in China which produces, for example, a bearing factory for one of the 2-wheeler manufacturers here. I used to import bearings from China way back in 2000 or something like that, and their daily production was 2 million pieces per day. Million pieces per day production is something which is what they have achieved it on low-tech, high-volume business. And I can give you several such examples. A CNC machine shop which I have seen in Shanghai, they had 1,000 CNC machines in one place. In Korea, I have seen a manless factory producing bolts and nuts. You know, the bolts come out the way the bullets come out of a AK-47 rifle. We can't see them. It's virtually like that. So it is that kind of automation, it is that kind of a manufacturing processes, it is that kind of a scalability that is required if at all we need to compete with China. It is not difficult to compete with China. It is the mindset that is required, and government is going to be proactively supporting us on that. Initially, it was very difficult because Chinese had almost 30% subsidy given by the government. Their per person expenses were also low. But now, if earlier people were getting 500 RMB as a salary for whatever that unit you have it, now it is almost 2,500. So it is 5 times gone up, and the government has withdrawn that subsidy. So if at all they come into the market, they come because of their scalability and because of their delivery and price. And the price, certainly we can pull them up if we can do the deliveries and the volume gain. Because ultimately price is a function of volume. So if we produce more volumes, we will also come down to those kind of prices. So I personally do not consider China as a threat. It's only a threat for the immediate future. But then in the longer run, if we decide, like our government is also giving a lot of focus on Make in India, that they are insisting that the bigger OEMs keep buying it from India rather than taking it from China and putting the indigenous industry in competition with the Chinese. So that aspect is gone. Vocal for local, Atmanirbhar, all these schemes are going to give a lot of boost to the MSMEs to perform. But performance is the name of the game. Please understand. A government may support up to a particular day. It's like giving a visa, but then travel has to be done by you only. I hope I have answered that question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Jacqueline Gomes. It's do you think this is the best time to start an online school for young children? This is for someone who maybe does not have a physical school previously. Yeah.
This is certainly the best time to start anything on online, or what I say as e-learning, e-commerce, or e-whatever, e-governance, e-schooling, e-teaching. Everything is coming like that. E-examinations, etc. In fact, I have a friend here, Santosh Ranjan. If you can unmute him, Santosh can add some values into that, because he is the guy who spent 25 years in e-learning. Santosh, could you please?
Santosh, one second. I just unmuted, sir. Santosh Ranjan, sir, can you? It's going on mute again.
I think he's trying to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's only mute. I don't know what.
Hello.
Yeah, Santosh.
Yes,
yeah.
Hi. Good afternoon, and I mean, excellent kind of input that we have received from this. Thank you so much for your this session, sir. Regarding this question, yes, I mean, there are a lot of gaps, obviously, in the whole process of integrating things, but there are a lot of opportunities as well in terms of providing digital learning or learning from remote places. There is a lot of opportunities for people nowadays who have been generating a lot of certificates and learning during this pandemic or COVID time. I can see, if you look at the LinkedIn kind of profiles, there are a lot of people who have started enrolling into a lot of courses and generating their, upskilling them, skilling themselves, and reskilling. That is something which is very important nowadays to enhance the skills and competencies. As far as any kind of school, whether for children or for adults, this is an opportunity for people to reskill, upskill themselves, maybe prepare themselves in advance for the challenging times, maybe prepare themselves for a lot of skills that is futuristic skills that is required, going forward. So this open up plethora of opportunities for people to go ahead and enroll for courses and learn at their own pace, at their own time, at their own convenience. This is something very important. And now, earlier the problem was people had the mindset that no, I'll go for only the classroom. I can learn only during the classroom session. But now it could be this COVID time has proven that even you can learn on your own at your own pace, but obviously there is an advantage of blended learning wherein you need interaction with teacher and teaching fraternity. We cannot get rid of that. Obviously they require, the best approach of learning still is the blended approach wherein you learn on your own as well. You learn by interacting with faculty, teacher. So blend of that will be very, very effective mode of learning. And that's the reason even our institution IIMB has started investing a lot of efforts in this kind of edX courses, and they offer a lot of good, excellent edX courses, which are which could be beneficial to many, and probably very soon people will enroll in huge number to these courses. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your views.
Yeah, I think Mohan, can you come in?
1 second, sir. I'll just. Yes, Mohan, right? I think earlier I did a mistake.
Yes, Mohan. He's asked. Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay. It's a very interesting thought, Shailendra, about our now not pursuing getting our own patents and getting about innovation, creating things on our own instead of others coming and setting up shop here in India to get the advantage. Any suggestions, any opportunities or areas which you see where possibly the government and the educational institutions and some of the industrials can make a foray?
Well, at least in the sectors which are going very fast, one of them is the IT, information technology, where we have been doing a lot of innovations, and a lot of patents can be obtained for the programs written there. Another sector which is growing very fast is automotive, which is roughly around 15 to 17. And every time we are going on the changing of mobility or changing of fuels and things like that, there are a whole lot of innovations which are taking place right from two-wheelers. If you remember, there was a big fight between Bajaj Auto and TVS, or two motorcycle manufacturers, on their design of injection system, which they had done it themselves to reduce the fuel consumption. So, meaning all these kind of innovations are taking place in India, but then generally they need to be patented so that they globally take that advantage of those patents. But the kind of mindset that we have had so far, maybe it was not promoted by the government, or I don't know, I'm not aware of that, but then maybe we did not take the advantage of provisions by the government. So ultimately, when we are talking about the industry, we need to capitalize on this intellectual property rights, or for that matter, creating patents, and on the global scale. Today, the problem, as I have been saying time and again, is that we are very, very domestic players. Well, I cannot say that, barring few exceptions, we are global players. You know, the global players, if we go to China, China virtually controls 90% of pharma production in America. You know, that is global. If one really looks at it, you know, it has to be in that percentage today, that they have created that kind of a muscle that nobody can play around with them. So even today, if I think of replacing China, it will take me at least 2 to 3 years to replace them. By that time, they would have gone into some other zone and created patents for themselves. Right today, I tell you, electrical mobility, in that we have a most important element for which the entire electrical mobility project is being held back is the lithium-ion battery. And 70% of lithium is cornered or rather produced in China. So they have that patent there for a particular invention or the raw material that they have it. And this can be seen on many fronts where they have seen to it that the entire world goes down to them. And this is the kind of a mindset that we need to really work it out, so that engineering wise, although we are strong, we should be very strong on that. Like I was always giving this example that a Chicago based principal, I had gone there, right at the back of the reception, there was a huge wall. And on that wall, maybe there are hundreds of patents which were just hung there in a frame. They take pride in that. I have not seen such companies. I don't know, maybe I have not visited them. but then at least that kind of a culture is not there. Maybe it is hung in a managing director's cabin or a chairman's cabin, but then this was just there on a wall right behind the reception. So anybody coming in, they see this how strong this company is on patents or how strong this company is on innovations and design.
You're right. Great. So it was a great exposition in your talk, and I'm very happy about the entire tone of your presentation being, optimistic and looking forward to making India great. So that I think is very essential given the kind of slowdown that we are facing and the general sense of gloom people seem to be kind of steeped in. So to that extent, I think it's a wonderful talk. Very nice.
Actually, I must substantiate here. I'm not saying it for the sake of this webinar. I am in my own business, and let me tell you, last 8 months, I have not had a single day where I could say that I had a holiday. I have been working round the clock for the last 7 or 8 months, and my workload is totally full. It is only because of these opportunities which I have been able to look at. Like in the English language or in our own Marathi language, there is a phrase, a door closes, 10 doors open. So rather than cribbing about that particular door which has closed on you, I would rather go for those 10 doors which are opening and spend time on that, and that is what we have been doing it, and we have been pretty busy on that, and that is where answering a couple of questions there, I said that I carry that lot amount of optimism, but for that optimism there has to be a weighted attach of performance. So unless and until we perform, the optimism will fail.
True.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I don't see any questions. I just request if participants have any questions, please type in a chat window, or I can unmute you. You can come on in and ask. So you want me to unmute anyone if you know in the participants?
That list of participants is gone from my screen. Well, give that option to anybody. Anybody wants to comment? Also, yeah. Okay, not necessarily question.
Yeah, if you want to share something, any related to the thing, also as well. Yeah.
How would they?
Because if I unmute everyone, there'll be a lot of noises. I can just go on doing one by one.
Maybe you just check. If we have time, I think we have another 5-10 minutes here.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to speak, maybe?
Yeah, some questions. Post-COVID, do you think the GDP will go up?
It will. That is what I said, that this year is going to be bad. Like our finance minister has said, that we should be able to come somewhere close to 0 or maybe +1 or something like that by end of March. But next year is going to be very, very good. And in that, I'm hoping that first week of January, the vaccine will come around, and the vaccination program will get over in maybe 5 or 6 months now.
I just unmuted everyone. If anyone wants to talk,
She might be. Yeah.
I think Vivek sir is there. I'm just.
Yeah, Vivek.
Hi, Shailendra.
Hi, Vivek.
Good to hear your talk. Very inspiring, very illuminating. I just one point to add, that I think Atmanirbhar Bharat will become a reality only when the government and industry and academia come together on industry verticals, so that the jobs can be created specifically along the industry vertical. If I am a carpenter, I will not get a plumbing job.
Correct.
And every industry has its own. So I'm sure you're such an influential voice. Is it something that you can consider in taking up with the government?
Yeah. Well, the point is very valid. That all this ecosystem must have these elements like institutes, academia, industry, MSMEs, or decision-making authorities and whatnot. Because everyone has to see it as a unique model. Then only this will succeed. And today, I think we have a government at the top, the Prime Minister, who has that kind of a vision. When he's saying Atmanirbhar, it means that whatever required for becoming that Atmanirbhar, or talking vocal for local or make in India, he will provide for it. I think we have seen a couple of decisions in last 6 months wherein he has not borrowed money but then supported the MSMEs to a great extent, because MSMEs otherwise 50 to 60% of them would have packed up long ago. And on my personal front, I have been advocating industry academia partnerships very strongly, and we have created such centers for innovation, incubation, etc. In Pune city with different colleges where the industry, then the Science and Technology Park, which is Government of Maharashtra body, and the College of Engineering, they have come together. The industry finances that particular center, and then the advantages derived out of that by the students and by the entrepreneurs and by the startups and whatnot. And like you said also, that a plumber cannot remain like a plumber as such. He will have to upskill himself to become something, because he has to do some jobs which are market driven. Because tomorrow when everything gets automated, couple of skills may get outdated or obsolete, and that is when these people will have problems. And therefore, it's like Nokia packing up in front of Samsung. If they had changed to Android, they would have sustained by now. But then it is that kind of a change in mindset which is required by most of the individuals as professionals as well as the industry. And that statement which I made in the last, that anybody who is creating a product which is pulled by the market or market driven will only survive.
Very true. Very true. The other point that I would like to make is that I think Atmanirbhar Bharat, to compete properly against China, may need to create a little larger pool like South Asia, making South Asia Atmanirbhar. And for example, the auto industry, we have got so much excess capacity today, whereas there are other countries which don't have that kind of dealership or cars or whatever products we have. So the only way I think we can compete is to extend our economic footprint in a kind of a win-win with the smaller countries and extend our reach of our manufacturers as well.
Actually, the crux of the matter is the volume. We have never played a low-cost, high-volume business or low-tech, high-volume game. The moment we scale up, our costs are definitely going to come down when we will compete Chinese. Because if we really look at any product which is an engineering product, it cannot be produced at below a particular cost. We also know it. Only element which changes that entire costing pattern is the volume. And today, that is where I said that we need to be more outward looking, we need to become global players, and thirdly, we need to scale up our production cycle or production processes to take up that costing structure into our own hands. Most important thing also, please understand that where is the demand now? Europe is more or less matured as far as demand is concerned. Far East, Southeast is virtually in the same manner. America is also like that. The demand was existing only in India and China. Most of the people may not attack China, but then India has an intrinsic demand potential. That is where that Atmanirbhar will play a role, because OEMs will have to change their mindset to buy from the Indian MSMEs rather than looking for short-term cost advantages. They should orient, like you have been saying it, that the big players have to support the smaller players and create that ecosystem which is profitable as a whole.
Very true. So effectively from the government, if a message has to go to industry and the industry biggie will say You want me to collaborate with my competitor? And the answer is yes, absolutely.
Yes. In fact, government has given enough indications to the industry that you need to support MSMEs. To tell you frankly, by announcing that Atmanirbhar or Make in India, you can see the couple of decisions which have been made very recently in various sectors where the government has come with rather in air conditioning market. They have just virtually put their foot down. 55% was their market share in Indian air conditioning market. Government said no imports from China. Where will they go? They will have to buy indigenously. In fact, one of the biggest air conditioner manufacturer has approached us, and he has given the list of components which he was given importing it from China, and now he is saying that okay, you give it to us. Earlier they never used to do that. So, and I was told that there is going to be an agency outfit at the customs itself, because there will be other ways of doing things. The BIS agency establishment will be positioned at customs warehouses or customs import gates, where each and every material which is coming into India will be inspected. Because what happens that somebody says it complies to a particular standard, but the material which comes is highly substandard, and that is how they manage their costs. इसलिए हम लोग कहते हैं कि that Chinese product don't have any life. By the time you buy it and then install it at home, it might fail. And that will never happen. Therefore, our indigenous industry, a product coming from our small scale, may be failing, but not to that extent. And as I have been saying it again and again, that element of nationality has to come in, and each and every MSME also needs to perform. They have been given a priority treatment does not mean that they have been given priority treatment on substandard quality. Our cars have to run, our air conditioners have to work, and we need to work them flawlessly without any accidents.
And units that are sick should actually be now taken over by the larger units if they cannot run.
No, that is what I'm saying. That everyone has to have that shaking hand policy.
Yes.
That let us shake hands, let us mobilize resources, let us use the resources which have been set up. Let us not create capacities, let us use capacities. That should be the word.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sir, Mr. Shenoy once told me to unmute him. Shenoy, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Hi, Shailendra.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, we may not have met, but we have spoken on phone many times.
Yes.
Anyway, I just, it was a very great lecture. I wanted to add 2 points which I thought would make relevance, because I am one of the few guys from IIMB who is in manufacturing like you. I think number one is that logistics. I think one of the biggest problems in India as compared to all other, like China, is our logistics costs tend to be much higher. Yeah. So probably that is one area we will have to look at if we really want to compete with China, because our logistic costs are much higher. That's number one. I'm just giving as a statement. And second is that I think skill. I think today it is very difficult to get an engineer from a good college to work in a manufacturing setup. Everybody wants to, kind of go to an IT sector, or what are views on these 2 points?
Correct. Actually, I would like to say the first point, if when you see my PowerPoint in that focus area, I had said that logistics efficiency and excellence is a big problem. Initially it was infrastructure has gone, but today the logistic costs are much higher. What you said is you have hit the nail on the head. And this is where we need to, it is not very difficult if you really look at it. We need to manage our operations very well, efficiently. I think we should be able to come about that. What was your second question?
Skill. I said, getting skilled engineers now has become more difficult than what it is.
Yeah. On that, I have spoken on several occasions with the various institutes. Productive employment is the biggest challenge that we have it. Other than barring the premier institutes like IITs, IIMs, or some the rated colleges, productive employment for engineers is as low as 9 to 10%, and productive employment for management graduates coming out of the local management schools is not more than 15%. And this is where 80 to 85% of the lot is unemployable. I am just substantiating your point with the statistics which are there in the marketplace. and this is very much understood by most of the institutes, and that is where the programs of industry academia interfacing has started, which makes students more oriented towards understanding the industry. Because I have been explaining it on several occasions that you are creating a recipe to be eaten by the industry. So why don't you consult industry? What recipe you should be preparing for? Because then you are preparing a laddu and the industry wants a masala dosa. That is not correct. So why don't you just come together and decide whether masala dosa is required or a idli is required or a laddu is required, and accordingly cook that. And this is a very simple logic which has been implemented now, and most of the times people are taking it very, very seriously. Another aspect which has been taken up very seriously by the students themselves, that they have understood the kind of advertisement, the kind of campus interviews those take place. Most of the times they fail on the skilling part of it, the soft skills and the other additional skills. And this is where most of the students have started really upskilling them during the course of their graduation or post graduation. So that will increase the percentage of you can say employable lot coming from the colleges. But then the college at the top also has to change their mindset in really making employable candidates. Now another aspect twist to that I have been saying is that, again going by the statistics, why are you creating only the workforce, or why don't you create the entrepreneurs? This is a point which I have been saying, because there are not enough jobs. Even if I want to employ, even if the 100% employment potential is there, that 100% employment potential is far too less than the graduates which are getting churned out of our different colleges. Now, where will these boys go? Then there are no employments available. So government has to do some work in flushing the funds into the infrastructure to get additional job creation, but that is also not going to be good enough. So we have to create a mindset in the students at the time of education itself that there are not going to be enough jobs. So rather than seeking jobs, you create jobs. So every entrepreneur coming out of that particular college can employ 5 or 10 people, if not 3 or 4 or whatever that minimum. So to that extent the workload, or to that extent the load will come down on employability, and that is where I think all these aspects taken together will ease out the requirements which we are facing today on productive employment.
Thanks, Shailendra. Thank you. We'll catch up sometime.
Yes, definitely.
So one last question, sir. I think this will be the last. How do you think we should mold BTech students or work with them so that we can create an awareness about the importance of entrepreneurship? I think you just spoke about.
Yes. You know, entrepreneurship is the name of the game which everyone must understand, and whether implementing or not will depend upon the family backgrounds, upon the personality of that individual, or the financial status, and so on and so forth. But then giving examples of our own alumni, you know, we have Mr. Mustafa, who has created such a big empire out of a simple idea. So he's been nominated, rather he got best distinguished alumni award also very recently. I always cite his example because he's so young and he came out and started this particular venture, and it's a very simple venture. There's nothing hotshot about it. An idea which is implemented properly creates that kind of a business for a startup or for an entrepreneurship. Secondly, we have our own NSRCL where there are a whole lot of mentors who are available there locally. Plus, there are a whole lot of mentors who are floating around who have been the alumni of IIMB who are willing to do that. For example, our mentors in NSRCL for the local candidates from Pune, they asked me whether I can mentor the guys from Pune. I willingly take up those things and then I try to help them out. So the thing is that you have to first of all stand up in the marketplace and announce that you need help. Then only people will help. If you remain in your shell, how would somebody really come and dig you out of that shell and then try to help you out? So initially the lead has to come from the individual. A BTech student can certainly have certain ideas. A passion cannot become a startup idea. A passion backed up by a business plan or a business model or a revenue model can become a startup idea. Otherwise, we will go by that statistic that 8 out of 10 startups fail. You know, it is very easily said. but then how did it fail and why did they fail? Nobody does that analysis. The two who succeeded, somebody should do that analysis. And I can give you several such examples of successes which have taken place where people have succeeded like hell. So we need to have a passion, we need to have an objective, we need to have an idea, and it has to be backed up by the revenue model and a business plan. There are many people who are ready to fund. These days funding has become very easy, right from high net worth individuals to venture capitalists. What they require is these 3-4 things. That why should I invest? What is going to be the ROI, and how long your product is going to last? What is the longevity, and when I am going to exit out of that? So there are a couple of questions which have got to be answered, and a person at the level of BTech getting out should be able to answer all these things. And if at all they require guidance, it is available at the institute or any engineering college, or people like me are available in the marketplace.
Yeah. I think so. We have come to an end of the session. I think we don't have.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. If everyone is satisfied, otherwise they can write to me. My email, you can share it with the people. It is S for sugar, V for victory, G for gold, svg1091@gmail.com. Or you can refer my LinkedIn profile. I'm very accessible.
Yes. Yeah. I think we have talked to. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I thank the alumni office. Ever grateful to you people. They are doing excellent job. I'm very proud of the alumni association there, and whatever I can do, please do let me know. I will be there for you. Thank you very much, all the participants, for making this session so enjoyable. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, for taking the session for all of us. It was really nice, and then a lot of senior alumni, many senior alumni are also joined. So very good to see most of them. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah.